Seventh-day Adventist Church in Lae Kopiago celebrates 50 years. Barker calls for realistic planning for districts. And AirAsia Indonesia plane missing.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome. Thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. The Seventh-day Adventist Church in Lae Kopiago, Hela Province, celebrated its 50th Jubilee milestone recently. The celebrations mark the establishment and work of the SDA missionaries in the Kobiago area. Believers from all over Hela, Southern Highlands, Western Highlands and NCD attended the event.
The quiet station of Lae Kopiago came alive when believers of the SDA faith gathered to worship, pray and celebrate in spirit the achievement of SDA missionaries in the district. Politics was put aside as leaders joined hands to celebrate in oneness and support the work of God. Member for Taripori and Finance Minister James Marape gave the keynote address, encouraging the church to grow from tithes.
Please, church, God, people of God, you start by here, celebrating 50 years when you blood, loving God, the blood, God, the blood, so much security, safety, the blood, life, the blood, start.
Vanimo Green MP and former opposition leader Belden Nama said the work of God has no boundaries. He committed 100,000 for the new Kobiago church.
God, every time I say, you make my business your business, and I will make your business my business.
Thinking of big man, not to you got him back 50 years ago. Without your help, commitment you making him come, family you losing, sacrifice you losing, kind pleasures and Kobiago you come start. Big man can reward him you back.
There was singing and greater spirit of spreading the word of God.
God, every got a special place. Lord, you people, Lord, never blow and no sending symptom of time church, Lord, good news, Lord.
The Jubilee celebrations, meanwhile, were further blessed with the opening of a water project and a classroom by Air Wonderland Managing Director Larry Andagali. Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
NCD police have confiscated 700 cartons of illegal beer in settlement areas in Port Moresby. This comes as police are implementing the imposed liquor ban against the sale of beer in residential areas.
Following the confiscation of beer cartons, NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bauer has issued strong warnings to those selling beer without license to stop their operations or they will be arrested and charged. He said 7 arrests were made so far and any vehicle found transporting beer will be impounded. Today is the 9th day of operations and so far there has been no reports of road crimes and accidents and police are aiming to minimize traffic accidents. He said the number of reported alcohol-related problems reported to the police stations in the city have dropped this week. Warnings were also issued to residents that loud music will not be entertained after 10 p.m. If anyone is caught playing loud music, they will be charged for noise pollution and their sound system will be confiscated. Judith Kasek, National EMTV News.
Director of the Institute of National Affairs, Mr. Paul Barker, says the 2015 national budget has not reflected government's intention to boost the renewable resource sector. He called on the government to revive all boards of agriculture institutions.
But admittedly, the institutions of government that are responsible for agriculture are in a bit of disarray. Many of them are pretty poorly managed. There really needs to be a lot more reflection of what the industry actually needs. And then when mechanisms are put in place to support the sector, including the use of public funds, it's important that the government avoids mechanisms like the NADP in the past where...
Stay with us on National EMTV News. We'll bring you more stories coming up after the break. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. Director of the Institute of National Affairs, Paul Barker, wants to see more realistic planning for districts in the country. Barker says better planning for projects will avoid unnecessary spending and services delivered.
In an interview with EMTV, Mr. Baka praised government's intention to be rural-based in allocating grants for services to reach rural people. However, Mr. Baka wants to see stringent measures on procurement. Studies have also shown that a good portion of funding allocated for projects in districts have either been spent unwisely or politicized by leaders.
Clearly, the government has put money into the districts, but the problem with the district grants is that there's very little in the way of planning and management capacity at the district level.
And with the O'Neill Dion government focusing to increase DSIP grants to 15 million kina next year, Baka says districts must put in place a sound planned mechanism.
Again, it's funds that we can't afford to be wasting. We know that the mechanism is a rather politicised mechanism. That's in some districts, the members of parliament and their district officials have managed the funds reasonably well and on sound investments. But in many other cases, that's not the case.
The push for services to rural places have slowly been positive in some provinces, while others struggle. But Baka believes if district grants is a tool for improvement, more work needs to be polished at the district level.
One needs to be spending where the money can be most effectively used, and we certainly need to address the areas of public procurement.
Jack Lapave, Junior National, EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, search and rescue operations are currently underway in Indonesia for the missing AirAsia Indonesian flight. The plane was en route from Surabaya in Indonesia to Singapore when it lost contact. There were 162 passengers on board.
It was 162 who were on board that flight, 155 passengers with 2 pilots and 5 crew members. They have a breakdown of the people on board as well, saying there are 138 adults, 16 children and 1 infant. We also have information from AirAsia as to what happened on board. They say that the aircraft was on the submitted flight plan route and was requesting deviation due to en route weather before communication with the aircraft was lost. So we now can confirm that the pilot or the first officer, whoever was in charge at the time, had requested that they change they deviate the flight plan somewhat because of adverse weather. That's been confirmed by AirAsia now. We also, Aisha, have a breakdown of the people on board and what nationalities they were. As we suspected, the vast majority are Indonesian. 157 of the people on board are Indonesian. That's passengers and crew, of course. 3 from South Korea, 1 from Malaysia and 1 from Singapore. Now, they do confirm that the search and rescue operation is very much underway. It's under the guidance of the Indonesian Civil Aviation Authority. So clearly the plane was in Indonesian airspace at the time that it lost contact, which we do know. And within this statement, we also have some information on the pilot and the first officer, basically saying just how many flying hours they have and pointing out that they are seemingly both experienced in the AirAsia and in the flying business, the captain with 6,100 flying hours. So we do have a little more information now from AirAsia, but of course at this point they can't tell us exactly what has happened to the plane. But we do know that that the pilot had actually asked to change the flight plan because of those adverse weather conditions.
And that report wraps up our news segment tonight. But coming up next, we'll bring you all the sporting news and updates after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. RFC captain and PNG striker Gary Moka has said that after 10 years of playing in the NSL, he still has the drive to perform at the highest level. Speaking from the comfort of his home, the 32-year-old recalls his first experiences wearing the red, black and gold as well.
Coming up the ranks of PNG football has not been a smooth ride for Moka. However, with a young talent also available and a new season of the NSL to look forward to, he feels his team will improve.
After an injury just before the weekend's match, I dislocated my ankle, so yeah, set out the first match. But it was really good. It was a good concept brought in by John Capinato. So had a lot of positive pathways for that, especially for the boys taking part.
New recruits will also boost the team.
We actually got the services of, from a couple of players from Eastern Stars, goalkeeper Paul Peter and the striker Patrick Isa. It's pretty good. He's got a lot of pace. It's very tricky, and but it's really good that the boys feel comfortable as a team. And
a decade at the top level of PNG soccer hasn't dampened his enthusiasm either.
Do you feel there's a difference in the style of play that you had from 10 years ago to today?
Yes, I believe so. It really depends on what sort of coaches you have within those years. Different coaches have different styles of football, whereas currently with RFC, we've got Joe Turria, and he's got his own way of playing, his own formations of how to do things. So it's been great so far.
Representing the country has been a highlight of his career.
First experiences for the Pacific Games would be 2011. I was based in Melbourne, and yeah, it's where I got there for a year and a half, playing with a local club, and yeah, it's where I got a call up for the first SP Games team. So yeah, it's pretty good.
While the January 17th opening of the NSL season still faces uncertainty, with playing grounds yet to be confirmed, Moka believes that his final year could be a good one. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
Rugby league fanatics flocked the Unagi Oval today in the nation's capital to watch the inaugural Lae Kopiago Cup. 24 teams around Moresby Northeast Electorate unlocked the competition. Despite the Port Moresby blistering heat, the matches unfolded like any other.
As we pull down the Christmas tree and pack it away, and eagerly waiting to welcome the new year, communities who have started celebrating Christmas with sports now have only a few days to wind down. For the Lae Kopiago Cup, it's the beginning of another rugby league competition. The competition kicked off with 24 teams. The Unagi Oval was covered in clouds of dust today with the quarter and semi-finals. Players who are not new in the game yet ambitious to stamp their mark in the inaugural competition made sure to impress the crowd as they went tackle for tackle right from the start.
The main theme that we are trying to bring out to the youths, especially taking part in the competition, is that we want the boys, especially the young boys here in NCD, to make themselves occupied during the festive season and make sure their family is happy with them and they stay with their family, enjoy this time, and then look forward towards a better year next year.
Despite the Lloyd Robson Oval, the home of rugby league under redevelopment, the Unagi Oval saw fit to host the competition. According to Lae Kopiago Cup Judiciary Chairman Brian Jeme, the competing teams have all obliged by the International Rugby League rules.
For the last 2 days, we didn't see any commotions, no conflicts. All the teams played according to the rules, and I'm really proud of that. So far, there's no complaints, no appeals, nothing to the last day now.
The man behind the name Lae Kopiago Cup, who is also the Vice Sports Minister, has chipped in 10,000 kina from his DSIP funds to run the competition. Tere Alex, National EMTV Sports.
And that's all we have for True Kai Sports tonight. The weather details coming up next. Stay tuned.
Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is brought to you by Tablebirds.
A quick look at the weather forecast for today and tomorrow in southern region. Port Moresby and Darrow mostly fine. In Momase, a few showers expected in Lae City, relatively fine expected in all centres. In the New Guinea Islands, Rabaul, showers forming, showers and thunderstorms expected in Buka. And lastly, Highlands region, all centres, morning fog clearing. And that ends the news this Sunday, the 28th of December 2014. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks again for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.